is up, people? I am Matthew, one of the superhero and sci-fi experts.
Fellow human.
Fellow nerd.
I'm Dyllan, the other superhero and sci-fi expert.
Hi, John Thompson. I am the action and animation expert.
This is
Oh boy.
This is the episode you've either been waiting for or you've been dreading.
Yes.
This
yeah.
is our Rebel Moon review.
The director's cuts, not the PG-13 cuts, which I
AKA
will.
the original fucking cuts.
Yeah, which I will defend the PG-13 versions, but this is the definitive cut that people will say it's the best one. But that's not really saying much.
Since you guys love Snyder Cut so much, we're going to release like a watered-down cut episode of this. And then in about 6 months, we're going to release the full episode.
Yeah,
as one does.
Yeah, right.
Pull some pages out of Netflix's book.
So, to give you a little bit of a backstory of how this project actually began, he pitched to Disney. He wanted to do his version of Star Wars, but Disney said no. Then he wanted to pitch it over to Warner Brothers. Warner Brothers said no. So then Netflix says, yes, we will give you the rights for you to do Rebel Moon. So, okay. So then we got to see the concept art, what the movie was supposed to look like, and people got really excited. Like, Zack Snyder's version of Star Wars. Yes.
Well, it wasn't originally supposed to be a version of Star Wars. It was actually set in the Star Wars universe as like a spin-off.
Ah, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
This is what Force Awakens was going to be.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Yeah, that would have been very interesting.
And then when Disney's seeing how dark it was, they're like, no.
Yeah, we're going to pass on this.
Yeah, but Disney is now doing Deadpool Wolverine, so they're
I
now.
mean, Marvel is.
Yeah, exactly.
Kevin Feige is.
But
Ryan Reynolds
it's
is.
sort of counts as a Disney movie, but
Deadpool's still a kids movie compared to this.
True.
Yeah,
True.
I agree. Yeah.
So then, when they heard that that Rebel Moon was going to be coming out in December of 2023, people got really excited, and then they got the news that people were not happy about.
They're only Diet Coke versions.
They're only going to release the PG-13 cuts, and we were not going to get the director's cut until months later, and everybody starts crying, fanboys thinking why. So,
well, I mean, it's been almost a fucking year since Part 1 came out, right?
December
Was it
2023.
December?
Yeah, and we didn't get the director's cut until August of this year. Jesus Christ.
9 months.
Long enough to have an actual baby.
Which I'm going to be crapping on Netflix a little bit later throughout this entire review. So this ought to be extremely interesting. Now, you haven't even bothered to watch the original cut.
No, I have not. I didn't want to touch it with a 30
Okay, and I don't blame you for that. But of course, me as a very curiosity of a movie viewer, of course, I watched to see what the version was not the full version, but I watched it anyway because I'm a movie fan. So then I watched the director's cuts on Friday and Saturday to watch the whole thing.
Wimp, I watched it all in one sitting.
Well, of course you did. I watched Zack Snyder's Justice League in full sitting, but I wouldn't be able to watch.
Yeah, but that's 4 hours.
Exactly,
This
but
was like 620.
yeah, exactly. I don't think I would sit
Not
through like a
420,
6-hour movie like in one sitting. I don't think I'd be able to do that. So here we are. We're finally talking about it, and we definitely got a lot of things to say about this movie.
Should we say spoilers or? Because I don't know if we should say spoilers on this, considering that we've already gotten the fucking movies last year.
Well, we'll say spoilers because the entire first 25 minutes is brand new.
Of Part 1?
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Part 1 in the theatrical starts with her on the planet, like plowing the field.
Okay.
So that entire first thing on that planet was new.
All right.
Which already the movie made much better already because of that, which I was thinking, what the fudge, Netflix? You couldn't put that in the beginning? Like, what the heck?
You guys go ahead. I'm
torn on this. I wanted to love this. I enjoy it. It is not something I'm going to watch often.
Like, both parts or just Part 1?
I enjoy Part 2 more.
Agreed, yeah.
It is a lot.
Yes.
It is very much a lot. I feel like this, the way I feel about war movies in a way. It's just, like, I can stand gore. Like,
yeah.
Predator, people's spines getting ripped out.
Right.
I love the Predator movies.
Yeah.
It's just, there's so much. There's probably over 1,000 on-screen deaths in this movie between the two parts, and it's too much. It's a lot to process. It's very emotionally draining.
John, what are your thoughts?
Okay.
And don't say what I put in the chat because that's my thing to bring up.
Whatever it was, I probably forgot what it was. What's
I didn't look up
this?
chat.
I'll just bring up real quick the now before you decide to remember.
Okay, sure.
Junkie XL did the score.
Okay.
I am pretty sure he reused, like 90% sure, he reused parts of A Beautiful Lie from Batman vs. Superman, which he also did that score with Hans Zimmer.
Okay.
I'm pretty sure, like the...
Oh, okay.
Do.
Oh, yeah. All right. I get you. Yeah.
I'm pretty sure he reused that exact same part in the score.
How would I have picked that up?
Yeah, I noticed it when I was watching the theatrical cut. Or, well, PG-13 cut, whatever.
The diet cut.
Yeah. And I was like, I'm pretty sure. And then when I watched it again, I was like, yeah, this is definitely sounds very similar, if not the exact same.
I did not catch that at all.
Okay.
I did not catch that. Okay. All right. So just want to give you guys a bit of heads up when I reviewed the PG-13 versions. I did say when I gave it 4.5 out of 5, it's going to bump up to 5 when I get the original cut. And I was hoping I was not wrong on this one. I will say that it's totally not perfect. There are definitely some issues that we'll get into, including Netflix itself, which, again, God help you for that one. It's not quite sci-fi masterpiece, as I predicted, which was a little disappointing. But from the whole director's cut that I actually got, I did love what I actually got from the film that I actually get. Like, Zack Snyder's version of Star Wars, more adult version, great. Sign me up, and I will definitely watch this many, many times. It's totally not going to be as good as Star Wars. No, absolutely not. If I said it's better than Star Wars, that would be blasphemous of me if I said that, and I would be off the show at a heartbeat if I said that.
If I were to say that this was better than Star Wars, I would be possessed.
Exactly.
I will say something, but I'm not going to say it till I go later.
Okay. Now I'm kind of scared. Now I'm kind of scared what you're going to say.
John's going to sit in fear for the next 10 minutes or so until John's done.
Yeah, you made my eyebrow twitch.
Yeah, exactly.
That's not a good sign.
And I will say this, and I'll stand by what I said. I personally think this is one of Zack Snyder's best directed films, at least for me. Visually, it looks gorgeous. The action shot looks fantastic.
There's no denying the visuals.
Absolutely.
It's never been Zack's problem.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, and personally, the backgrounds looks great. I love the costume designs.
Yeah.
But goodness gracious, the slow-mo shot, like, okay, let me get this out of the way. The whole slow-mo shot of them cutting cornfields, can you go faster on that?
Hold on. Let's talk about part 1 and then part 2. Let's create a divide between the two, because those are two different experiences, in my opinion.
Yeah.
Exactly, but I'm just saying, there are a few slow-mo shots I think it needs to go a little faster.
A few slow-mo shots? I feel like that's understating it by 17.
Right, and I understand it's a directing style, but I was just thinking to myself, dude, you've been doing this for at least 20 years. Like, can we at least go a little faster, please?
An hour shorter.
Yeah, honestly.
Probably so, yeah. But I was just thinking to myself, yeah, you probably need to cut it down a little bit on the slow-mo, but not digress. But yeah, the direction itself, I mean, I loved it, what I actually saw. Now, people criticize the characters for being dry and not interesting. I don't agree with that. I personally think the characters are interesting.
This is an improvement over the theatrical cut for that.
Absolutely.
They were definitely drier in the theatrical. This did bring it more to forward.
Well, I'll say that I did find the characters interesting in like the dry cut, but in the original cut, thank God, there's more backstory, which, where was that in the original cut? Which, that's ridiculous, Netflix, that you couldn't do, like, background story from the other characters, like, longer? Like, dude, come on! Like, what are we doing? Like, why would you not do that? That's so weird to me. Because we do get the more backstory of the main character, which, again, where the fudge was that in the original cut? That's ridiculous. And then we get to see, like, how they open up with the newer characters that get to join the team, which I was thinking, wow, that's another missing scene. Like, Netflix, you are absolutely like Warner Brothers. What the fuck are you doing? Like, this is ridiculous. But also was happy at the same time. See, I'm happy and frustrated at the same time.
Yeah, I get you. I get you.
Like, it's ridiculous.
Frustrated
That could work.
or frappy?
Well,
I like Frappy.
yeah.
I like Frappy.
Yeah,
It's kind of funny. I like that.
I'll put that into perspective. Sure.
Puppy power.
Frappy power.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, I mean, I was just literally like watching the whole movie, which about the opening scene in part 1. Yeah, the villain is by far, which I would say I personally think is one of Zack Snyder's best villains, at least for me anyway, because he was incredibly dark in the director's cut, because we got to see the backstory of why he was so dark, which I'm going to keep repeating myself. Dadgummit, Netflix. Why did you not show that in the original cut?
I will agree. This is a praise I do have for the movie. This is one of the most terrifying villains in recent years.
Yeah.
Agreed. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'll give it that for what he did to that. Turn to my main issues. For one thing, the slow-mo thing is ridiculous. As I said as many times, I was thinking, no, it needs to go a little bit faster. And
there was just way too much slow-mo. Oh
yeah, yeah. And secondly, it sort of had nothing to do with the movie itself, but it has something to do with Netflix as a whole. Now, we understand Warner Brothers gave him a hard time with Zack Snyder. I don't know whose fault was it. I don't know if it's like the executive's fault. I don't know who was responsible for treating Zack Snyder like crap. I don't know who it was. But Netflix, you should not be WB. You should not be this stupid to make dumb decision. You're like the biggest streaming service like ever. This is Netflix we're talking about. This is when we got like big streaming like HBO Max and Disney Plus. Without Netflix, we would have got these things. And Netflix used to make some great stuff. They still make some good stuff.
The occasional show and movie.
But seriously, why do people hate Zack Snyder? Like, this is ridiculous. Like, here's our contract. We are going to let you release the R-rated cut, but we're going to release the PG-13 cut first. No! Give us the full cut. Don't wait for like 6-7 months later for the full cut. It's ridiculous. Like, Netflix, why are you this stupid?
I will say, R-rated cut aside, in terms of Netflix, Army of the Dead is a superior movie.
Against part 1, I agree.
Okay.
I wouldn't agree with that against part 2.
Okay.
I drastically like part 2 I drastically like part 2 more than part 1.
Yes.
Yeah. I mean, I just I don't know who's the boss of Netflix, but
somebody who doesn't know media.
Yeah, exactly. Who doesn't know media, but whoever did this, what's your dumb executive decisions of waiting for 8 or 9 months for the whole cut? Like, it's ridiculous. Like, I swear to God, it feels like that it was run by chimpanzees. That's what it feels like. It feels like it was run by different blind animals or something like that didn't know how to make a good decision of what to do when you're releasing like the whole version. Like, you're hiring Zack Snyder. What did you expect? Like, this is ridiculous. And what's also absurd, this is the 7th director's cut in Zack Snyder's career. 7. He did it with Watchmen twice. He did it with Batman vs. Superman. He did it with Sucker Punch. He did it with Justice League. And now he did this for Rebel Moon Parts 1 and 2.
His very first movie had a director's cut, Dawn of the Dead.
Yeah, that's true.
His very first movie.
I wouldn't necessarily.
Was it really?
Yeah.
Huh.
It's like 10 minutes longer, yeah.
I wouldn't necessarily count Justice League on that list because the Justice League that we got back in 2017
Most of it was reshot.
Yeah, it wasn't really Zack Snyder. Like, that was a bastardization of what Zack Snyder wanted to do.
Oh, okay.
Like, that was Joss Whedon who did that. That wasn't.
But yet,
that
on
wasn't Zack Snyder.
Wikipedia, they gave Zack Snyder as director
They
credit.
looked good on the movie too as Zack
Yeah,
Snyder.
exactly.
But it's him in name only. It's not his project.
Yeah, like it's like the equivalent of like we did this in the honor of.
Yeah.
That's basically what happened in 2017.
Yeah, and although to be fair, Joss Whedon directing Justice League would sound great on paper because he did direct 2 Avengers movies, which are great, by the way.
Yeah.
But this
People
one,
would
in
argue that
particular,
Ultron isn't
I haven't even bothered watching the theatrical cut after watching Snyder's version because I was just thinking, wow, I just bumped that from 5 stars down to 4 stars. Like, what in the world happened?
I am gonna start my MCU rewatch soon.
I already started.
I've seen.
Yeah, okay. So I was kind of right. It is a 7 director's cut. So I was partially right. I had no idea Dawn of the Dead actually was a director's cut. I had no idea.
Yeah.
But Dawn of the Dead was well received.
Yes.
People liked the film.
It was just a couple scenes that couldn't fit in the R rating, I believe.
Right. And also the only film that I loved that he also directed that was PG-13 that turned to be a great film, Man of Steel. Pretty much fantastic movie. That got a PG-13 rating. But honestly, no one had a difficulty with that film. There was no release the Snyder Cut of Man of Steel because they were already fine as it was.
Yeah.
But then when it comes to Batman vs. Superman and then what WB did with Justice League and now what Netflix is toying with Rebel Moon, it's crazy. It's nuts.
The thing about what Netflix did, and I feel like Netflix has done Zack Snyder's career dirtier than every other fucking studio.
Yeah.
This is
they're
my
purposely trying to capitalize on it.
Yes, exactly. Like, they fucking know that Zack Snyder is known for having director's cuts, and they wanted to hit a wider audience with the PG-13 cut, the diet cut. I refuse to call it anything else. This wasn't the director's cut. This was the fucking original.
Yeah.
Like I get that that's what the director's cut is, like, every fucking time. But, like,
it was always advertised as an adult Star Wars.
Exactly. It was never advertised as, oh, we're releasing a PG-13 version, but after that we're releasing this additional version. This was always what was supposed to be released.
For like 5 years straight, they were saying it was an adult Star Wars.
Exactly. No, the thing is, Netflix, exactly what you said, they're capitalizing on it. They know that Snyder has that fan base. They know what Snyder is famous for. They wanted to capitalize on having a wider audience, but also being able to have what Zack Snyder fucking wanted.
Yeah.
And in my opinion, that's just bullshit, and that's damaging Zack Snyder's career.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder shouldn't be known as the dude who makes 2 versions of every fucking film.
No.
And he's falling into that kind of fucking hole.
Yeah.
This is not helping his case.
Into it too.
Yeah.
Yeah. And there are people that are going to say, "Oh, it's Zack Snyder's fault that he released the PG-13 cuts version." No, it's the studio's fault.
Yeah.
It's totally the studio's fault.
He's falling into it though.
Yeah.
Yeah. Which I know Paul said it was kind of Zack Snyder's fault. No, it's not.
Well,
It's the studio's fault.
He could have fought back.
He could have. With how much they're giving Zack Snyder, how much freedom they're giving him, he could have been like, I don't want there to be a PG-13 cut of this.
And hopefully with the sequels, there won't be.
There better fucking not be.
There's no
I'm
need for
pissed
there
off.
to be 12 movies for 6 movies.
No, there shouldn't. Like, it's just absurd. Like, again, Netflix, what happened to you? You were doing so well with your streaming, but now it's getting more and more annoying. Good Lord.
Okay, well, the thing that Rebel Moon has brought out of Netflix is some obvious truths. They're not doing as well as they fucking are claiming they are.
No, they're not. No.
But not only that, they admitted to inflating their numbers for Rebel Moon.
Really?
Yeah, they count every view as 2. Because they're like, who would watch this alone? Coming from the same guy that's like, oh no, shows and movies do just as well on phones. No.
Yeah.
No, this is fucking wrong.
Right.
Like y'all are idiots, obviously. I don't know how you're still in fucking power. But it's that kind of fucking thing. Like, Netflix isn't doing great. They're viewing Zack Snyder as their savior.
Yes.
Which Zack Snyder can save Netflix. Don't get me fucking wrong. Like, I may not be the biggest fan of the guy.
Right.
But like,
He has power behind him.
he does.
Yeah.
He has a kind of fan base that could save Netflix.
I'd say he's like one of those power directors, like Nolan,
Yes.
like Rian Johnson,
Yeah.
J.J. Abrams,
Yeah.
Matt Reeves,
Mhm.
and the Russo brothers,
Yeah.
and James Gunn.
Obviously.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Those are the big power directors now.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And which I'll get to what James is going to need to do, like at the end, when we get the end of the review. I'll get to that later. But getting back into the movies itself, I definitely will say part 2 when you get to the third act finale, it's great stuff. I love the third act finale, and
well, we'll talk about part 2 in a little bit.
Okay.
Yeah. Just stick to part 1 for right now.
Okay. Sure. Okay. Yeah, but part 1, yeah, I did love it for what I actually got with the director's cut, which once again it shows you that. It confused the crap out of me that they actually decided to do that. Like I was satisfied, but I was frustrated at the same time because I was just thinking to myself, "This is just Netflix. You're losing me at this point. Like at this point,
They're losing everybody.
I'm not going to cancel my subscription, but I may have to cancel your business. Like this is ridiculous."
Yeah.
I got some stuff to bring up.
Sure.
Go ahead.
I'll just bring up the stuff from part 1 I've noticed. Some of these are just observations. Some of them are things I actually want to talk about. For one, Zack Snyder always his standout is the cinematography.
Yeah.
He always
Absolutely.
knows how to. He's got some of the best cinematography out there.
Yeah.
Very stylistic, but it's amazing. That is honestly the standout of this movie is the cinematography.
Yes.
That's honestly why I was most excited when he said he was making a Star Wars type movie, because I knew like his cinematography mixed with Star Wars would look incredible.
Yeah.
Going towards the end of the movie, after, like we said, spoilers, after Noble is apparently killed, there's parallels to Vader in Revenge of the Sith, where Palpatine rescues Vader from Mustafar. How they kind of bring him in and heal him.
Yeah. I see that.
I noticed the parallels to that. If you were wondering, the things are called scribes.
The like priests.
The Sith priests, yeah.
Yeah.
That's why I call them the Sith priests. Stas Nair, I believe is how you pronounce his name, plays a totally different role than he does in Supergirl. That's Tarek.
Oh, okay, yeah.
He played a reporter on Supergirl. And
I didn't know that.
Yes. That's for part 2. I wish Ray Fisher didn't die so quick.
Same. That was a major fucking letdown.
He was not in the movie that much.
No.
The dude who played Darkseid in Justice League was also in the movie.
What?
Yeah. I believe he was the guy with the griffin. The old guy with the long hair.
Oh.
That was Darkseid.
I didn't know that.
Yes, that was Ray Porter.
Huh.
That's all for part 2. So in terms of being the next Star Wars, this is not.
Nope.
This is what you've been waiting for me to say as you've been on edge for the last 10 minutes.
Yeah.
If anything is a worthy successor to Star Wars to be the next Star Wars, it is Dune.
Yeah. No,
Absolutely.
I fully agree.
Yeah.
Dune has the potential to be as big as Star Wars.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I guess if I could go like little bitty nitpicks, the quote unquote love scenes.
I was waiting for him to bring this up.
Like I'm not gonna lie, I started laughing because I was thinking to myself, I knew it was gonna be in the movie, but
they really went for it.
Oh my, someone's getting sugared on this one. Like, my gosh. So like I can say this completely, people, like you can be comfortable at your own skin. Absolutely. But did we have to sort of see that for like 2-3 minutes straight?
Okay. So I actually want to I want to expand on this. My thought about it.
It took him 24 minutes to bring this up. I was waiting for him to bring it up.
My thoughts on at least the Sophia Boutella scenes. They just felt like an excuse to get her naked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like that's all it felt like.
I believe she's the one who asked for it.
I mean, that's fine. That like more power to her. I'm somebody who's used to nudity in movies and stuff like that. I was
right.
I've been what's the word that I'm looking for? Desensitized.
Yeah.
Against that kind of stuff. So I didn't have any direct issues with it.
I kind of fast forwarded through it.
I was okay with it in part 2. Like in part 2, I appreciated it in that one. In part 1, it was literally just like, haha, we're bringing in the harvest, but the actual harvest is going to be all the banging we're doing tonight. And that's all it was. It didn't really do anything else. Because the two characters that do it at the very beginning of part 1, they don't really do anything else after it. The rest of it is Cora and Gunner. That's all it is. There were no other fucking interactions. There was nothing else to come of that.
I couldn't look away after that. I couldn't look away.
I told Paul the line, he appreciated it. F for the harvest.
Yeah.
For some reason, I just couldn't look away. I started laughing, and I was just thinking to myself, I mean, people are going to be mixed on it, but of course, it's going to be added because it's an adult version of Star Wars. But the fact that it's one of the better love scenes in the whole 50 Shades movie, that's a problem. That is a problem.
One more thing I had to mention off my list for part 1 is
sure.
I love the dock scene, like the docks of Bespin type thing. Like
okay.
The floating city.
Yeah,
I love that whole vibe
that.
of that area.
Yeah, I like the atmosphere of it. Yeah.
Yeah, like that whole vibe felt really good.
Yeah.
And part 1 was kind of slow though.
Okay. Are you guys done with your turns? About part 1?
Yeah.
That's all I wanted to say. Still, was part 1 was kind of slow.
Yeah.
Until the end.
Yeah.
Okay.
But personally, maybe I did love the movie, but I got a feeling we were going to be on different sides on this one, which I probably wouldn't blame you if we were going to be on different sides. Yeah. So go ahead.
All right. Part 1 was the biggest slow burn I've ever fucking watched in my life.
It's more of a slow burn than Alien.
It is. Which in case the audience doesn't know, I've never seen Alien up until this week. I finally watched Alien this week for the first time ever.
Nice. What'd you think of it?
We'll find out in 2 weeks.
Yeah, we'll talk about it later.
Okay, cool. Okay.
This was the biggest slow burn I've ever seen in my life.
It's a 3-hour and 24-minute slow burn.
Yeah. And I've said the same fucking thing about Dune Part 1.
Yeah.
This beats out Dune Part 1 for slow burns.
By a mile.
Yeah. Because at least Dune Part 1 felt like it was continuously rolling.
Yeah.
It didn't feel like there were any lags or anything like that. It went it was just boom, 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 boom. It was moving through the fucking story. This one, we felt multiple lulls in the story.
Yeah.
Honestly,
Dune didn't slow down the pacing.
No, it didn't. This one was all over the fucking place. It was like a waveform.
Yes.
I was not a big fan of part 1. Honestly, thinking about it now, I might change my rating of it on Letterboxd because I think that I was a little too generous with my rating on it. As we mentioned earlier, I've only seen the director's cut, so I don't really have anything to compare it to. I can't compare it to the diet cut. But I still liked it. I still thought it was okay.
Yeah.
I had those thoughts about the love scene, or at least Sofia Boutella's love scene. One thing that I do appreciate about the love scene is it shows the scars on Cora's body.
That definitely was her choice.
Yeah.
I don't know about the actual scene, but I know that was definitely her choice.
I really liked it.
Yeah.
The makeup in these movies are amazing.
Absolutely.
Without a fucking doubt, if there's anything that I'm going to praise, it's absolutely the fucking makeup team.
Yes.
They did gorgeous fucking work here.
Absolutely.
No, it just we ended up with what 5, 6 main characters?
7.
7?
It was supposed to be a play on the Magnificent 7.
Yeah, okay, I see that. I didn't care about any of them except for Cora. I did not give a flying fig about any of them.
I like Nemesis.
Okay, before part 2.
Okay, true, yeah.
Before part 2. Because part 2 is where I actually started caring about these characters.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
This was all build up for part 2. Yeah. All of it.
Kind of like Dune.
Yeah, no, exactly. Dune is the best comparison. I don't want to bring down Dune in that way.
No.
So, I'm not trying to be this is a lot like Dune. Because Dune outclasses Rebel Moon, in my opinion.
Oh,
Big
totally.
time.
Yeah.
Both parts.
Yeah.
Dune is the superior current sci-fi franchise.
Yes,
'Cause
agreed.
I wouldn't say Star
Agreed.
Wars is current because it's been going for a while.
Star Wars is in a different league than almost all other sci-fi.
Yeah,
Yeah,
but
it's more of like a huge thing.
yeah, but
yeah.
don't get me started on Star Wars.
No, we're not. No.
Yeah, and people remember, this is his adult version of that movie. This is supposed to be something that Dyllan would absolutely love.
Well,
But
I appreciate a lot of things that Zack Snyder did in this.
right.
Like I may not be a cultist. I may not be the biggest lover of his films or anything like that. Honestly, watching this, I was getting Sucker Punch vibes big time. Like specifically Sucker Punch.
Okay.
I could see it.
Yeah, I just like. I'm not saying that there were a lot of similarities between the two. It's just it felt like more like Sucker Punch than almost every other movie that he's done.
But
But
it should have felt like Man of Steel.
it should have. It really should have. I just Part 1 for me had the same effect that Dune Part 1 did for me, where it was a slow burn. I didn't really appreciate it, or I didn't like it too much.
Yeah.
Like I appreciate it for what it was, and I appreciate this for what it is.
I will say I'll take Dune Part 1 over this any day.
Yes, 100%. I fully agree with that.
Yeah, absolutely.
But for the characters, for me, I didn't feel anything for them.
Cora's really the only one that got any kind of 3-dimension in the first movie.
Yeah, she was the only one that had substance. Because otherwise, like, we had Gunnar. Gunnar was kind of a coward. He was reluctant. Like, he obviously was only there for Cora.
Yeah.
Like, that's the only fucking reason why he came along. That's the only reason why, like, any of this shit happened. Like, Gunnar was the one who was doing shit under the fucking table, tipped off the Imperium, and all that shit. Like, I wasn't a fan of Gunnar for that. That was like all there was to Gunnar's character in the first one. Was the fact that he liked Cora and that he was kind of a fucking coward.
Yeah.
Titus, we got a bit of talk about Titus, but there was nothing really. Like
Hansu.
yeah, which I fucking love Jamon Hansu.
Oh, that's how you pronounce it?
That's how I pronounce it.
I Simon.
It probably is. I don't know.
We are sorry for butchering your name.
Yeah, I butcher everybody's name.
We're good at
That's
this.
my bad.
That's what we're best on the show is butchering names.
Yeah, honestly. No, I was really excited for Titus because of Jamon Hansu, and I was a bit let down in Part 1.
Yeah.
Like we'll talk more in Part 2 because they're drastically different.
If you haven't seen Blood Diamond,
I haven't.
watch that. That's some of his best work.
Okay.
It's about the diamond smuggling in Africa.
Yeah, I figured. No, I was really excited for his character. I was a bit let down. Like I feel like after all that talk of like the great general and this shit, you find a drunk who doesn't want to do shit.
Right.
Like I get feeling let down because that's kind of a purposeful letdown.
Yes.
But I expected more character development here. The thing that I want to say, and it makes sense with what we've been talking about with Part 1 about how it's a slow burn and all this. The only reason why Part 2 could run was because Part 1 crawled.
Yes.
Part 1 laid all the fucking groundwork. And I appreciate it for that reason.
Right.
And except for, as John brought up, the cutting the wheat.
Yeah.
Part 2 slayed.
Yes. I I thought the wheat cutting thing in Part 2 was really funny.
Oh, okay.
But we'll talk about it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I forgot to mention, but what about Jimmy put by Anthony Hopkins? I personally really like that character.
See, I love Jimmy.
Yeah.
Jimmy was
Me
my
too.
favorite of Part 1.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like
I finally got his name right, Anthony Hopkins. I finally got it right for once.
Good job.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Yeah. I will say he was underutilized, but it was more of a setup for 2.
Yeah. And
They probably gave him a backstory for that one too, which I'm thinking, what the fridge? You didn't do that in the last part?
He had no backstory in the
First part. No.
really?
yeah. He was only shown like twice.
What the?
But then in the director's cut, at least we got to see, at least we got to hear why he's part of the bad people when now he wants to be on the good side. Which
They showed him, I believe, twice in the PG-13 cut in the Part 1. They showed him when he gets picked on by the soldier,
Hmm.
and then that scene of him at the very end, of him just in the field.
So wait. Does he even save the girl?
No, I don't think so.
Is that the implied thing that you're talking about?
Implied.
Implied,
Well,
like it's not shown, but it's implied?
yeah.
Is that what you were talking about?
I wasn't talking about that, no.
No, well, because I'm sensitive to certain scenes.
Oh, yeah. No, that was about the same.
Okay. Because I didn't... If he only showed up twice, that means that he didn't save her in the
No, I
original
think Cora
cut.
did,
Okay.
if I remember right.
There should have only been one cut of this fucking movie.
Yes, exactly.
I said it on Letterboxd. I normally don't make any comments on Letterboxd or anything like that. I don't actually put fucking reviews out. But that was my one fucking comment for this.
Yeah.
This part one, the actual cut, not the diet cut, should have been the only fucking cut.
Yes.
There should have been no other freaking cuts. Like I just, it's so ridiculous. It's idiotic.
Absolutely.
And
We went on a tirade about it earlier. I don't want to go on it more. Just, oh my gosh.
As they see this, there should not be any PG-13 cuts for 3 and 4 and 5 and 6.
There shouldn't be.
Because apparently
There shouldn't be.
Apparently, there's going to be 2 more 2-part movies.
Yeah, there are. Yeah, because they have fully confirmed all 6.
Yes.
Did we get the titles for the next 2?
Not. Yeah, I don't think.
Not yet. Okay.
No.
This had different titles. You're probably seeing.
Yeah, they changed.
Yeah, that's what you're probably thinking.
Yeah.
No. Like I've seen. I thought that I'd seen.
No, I don't think we got 3 and 4 yet.
Okay.
Last thing
Could've
I'll
sworn I
say
saw
about part
something.
1 is Charlie is a scumbag.
Yeah. Okay. Charlie's my biggest fucking gripe about this.
Yeah.
And like I get what they were doing. They were setting him up to end up being a good guy and then subvert expectations.
Yeah.
It's like, okay, that's fine, but it wasn't written well, in my opinion.
It wasn't.
Like I just they went too hard on one end of it.
They never really showed why he betrayed them. Like, it wasn't like.
Well,
it's for the
they were
money
like,
or
he overheard him at the very first place on Velt and shit, and that's why he fucked. Okay, but why were you teasing a romantic subplot between him and Cora?
It was.
Why were you doing that kind of shit? Why, like they also didn't give him a reason to flip.
Right.
Like it's just
More
he
than-
kind of like switched fucking gears where everybody was like, oh wow, he really switched gears.
Yeah.
If you have the characters in universe making that kind of comment, it doesn't work.
Right. It was. If he was gonna flip, like they shouldn't have like let it be so hardcore. Like, yeah, I'm gonna help you. Yeah, I'm gonna help you. Like it was a complete like 180, and there was like no like back reason why. It was just all of a sudden, hey, the money's good. Let's switch.
Well,
it just seems knee-jerk reaction.
This is one of the only Star Wars comparisons that I really want to make about this, and I'll get to a couple other things I want to talk about. It's just Charlie's character was the biggest fucking issue for me.
Yeah.
He's supposed to be a Han Solo type character in this.
Yeah.
But even with Han Solo in the original 1977 movie, you see that good guy come out.
Yes.
You see that turn for him. You see all this other shit. And while the turn for Charlie's character was fake in this, it wasn't true the way that Han's was. While it was fake here, you could at least take some fucking notes from the character that you're basing this character on.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like but you were only in it for the money. There should have been something like that somewhere in here.
Yes.
Like, yeah, from the get-go, he was like, yeah, I figured that I would help you for a cost. There was never a fucking turn from the cost.
Right.
It was just an instant, like, it was a fucking light switch.
Yeah.
Like I said,
Knee-jerk reaction.
yes. The characters in universe shouldn't be like, oh man, that was a fast turnaround for him.
Right.
They shouldn't be making that comment. For the 3.5 hours that we had of this fucking movie, where he was in 2.5 hours of it,
Right.
we should have seen that fake progression of his character.
Right.
We should have seen it. But instead, at the very beginning, he was like, oh, I'll do this for a price. And then right after, he was just helping out to help out.
Yeah.
Conveniently. That shouldn't have... No.
That is very
That was
poorly written.
poor... Yes, it was. Like, I'll say that I didn't care for the other fucking characters, but at least they were properly written for what they were.
Right.
Charlie's was not. Like, it honestly pissed me off. Because he is the closest to Star Wars in this entire thing that's supposed to be grown-up Star Wars.
I'd say, outside of Korra, the one best written, it was Ray Fisher in the first part.
I would say that's the villain.
Well, I'm saying of the, 7.
Yeah, of the main protagonist. Yes, I agree. Yeah.
Noble was great.
Well, like, at least Ray Fisher's character lived up to his fucking name.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Blood Axe?
Yeah.
Darien Blood Axe, right?
Yeah.
At least he lived up to it, you know?
Right.
Yeah.
Again, that goes against the whole General Titus thing where they're like, oh, we're looking for this great warrior, and then they met a drunk on the side of the road. Like, that's a different kind of subvert expectations. Darien Blood Axe was exactly what you would have expected if they hadn't done that with General Titus.
Right.
Yeah.
And honestly, I think that was great. I agree. He shouldn't have been killed off when he was.
Right.
But I like the exchange that we kind of ended up getting with him dying.
Yeah.
I forget what her character's name is. But the rebel that goes with them after Darien dies.
Yeah.
I like that trade-off. I thought that was a good trade-off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But one other character that we haven't really talked about is Nemesis.
Yeah. That's part 2, really. I brought that up earlier.
Well, I mean, she was just great in part 1.
Yeah, that's what I said. I said that earlier.
Well, I wanted to fucking say it.
Turd.
Well, I don't have a whole lot of good things to say about part 1. Like, Nemesis is one of the only good things I had to say about it.
That's what I said. Yeah, Nemesis is great.
Like, I loved her, and honestly, I feel like she was the more interesting out of the 7 that we got.
Yeah.
Like, and like even before we get to part 2.
Yeah.
I understand the loss of your children.
Yeah.
That alone did wonders for her character.
Oh yeah.
And I will see. I will say that the action scenes in total were really good.
Yeah.
But I like that scene specifically when she's facing off against Spider Queen, which is what I called her.
Yeah.
I don't remember what she's actually called.
I will say it's more of a part 2 thing than a part 1, but it's used in part 1. I wish we would have got more lightsaber scenes.
Yes, I agree.
Because they looked really cool.
They were. I was super fascinated by them. How do you get these to glow?
Yeah.
Yeah,
That's what they were. Let's call it what it is.
Well, yeah, they were obviously the fucking trade-off.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, I think the only other thing that I have a comment to make about for part 1 is I don't like how Charlie's death was shot.
Okay.
I feel like that was supposed to be a big moment for Gunner's character, and it was. Like it came through. It's just I feel like it could have been shot differently to make a bigger moment.
Yeah.
Like it wasn't. It felt like an anticlimactic death, and I feel like part of that is the writing.
Yes.
But the way that it was shot alone helped it not be as climactic as it could have been.
Right.
Because something like that should have been really satisfying.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It didn't feel satisfying for Gunner's character. It didn't feel satisfying enough for the death of Charlie's character. Like this dude who was the big betrayer, the massive traitor in their midst.
Yeah.
Like it should have been a more satisfying death for him.
Right.
And it should have been a more satisfying action for Gunner himself. I didn't connect with it properly.
Right.
And part of that is the writing, but I honestly feel like if it had been shot differently, just as a member of the audience, if it had been shot differently, I think that it would have been more satisfying.
Yeah.
Not as good as it could have been, but I think that they would have had a better chance of pulling it off.
Right.
Yeah.
But it doesn't help that we had to compare 2 different cuts. Like it's ridiculous. Like
that's the reason why I didn't want to watch that's one of the reasons why I didn't want to watch the diet cuts.
Yeah.
Because I didn't want to have these 2 different versions of the same fucking movie in my head.
Yeah.
Yeah, like doing that with the Joss Whedon cut versus the Snyder cut.
Right.
I enjoyed the Joss Whedon's cut.
Yeah.
I enjoyed it for what it was. I knew that it could have been better. Honestly, I would have preferred the Snyder cut from the get-go.
right.
but I didn't realize how bad it was until I watched the Snyder Cut.
Right.
Like, I just wanted to go into this with no expectations.
Right.
And
You
I
knew
did that
this
with...
was coming. Snyder Cut, nobody knew was coming.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't know.
Yeah. So I guess we're getting into part 2 now.
Can we give a star rating for this one before?
Yeah, you guys go ahead. I want to look at my thing.
I still don't have a solid rating. I'm flipping between 3.5 and 4.
Okay, I will definitely say this. Just because I give it a full 10, it doesn't mean it's perfect. Because when there's flaws, there are flaws, for sure. Now, in entertainment value, I do give it a full 10, but I am not putting the same standards as the classics among the sci-fi genre, like a Star Wars or the Dune 21st century films. I am definitely not going near that far. It's just that it's one of those movies where if I just watch like the original cut of the film instead of watching PG-13 cut, I would probably say, oh yeah, I'll put raising the standards of the other great sci-fi films. But again, Netflix is just being stupid. Like they're just excuse what I'm going to say. They're a bunch of pricks. That's what they are. That's what they are.
You're right.
It's just that simple. Because you're not supposed to be WB, but unfortunately they're turning into WB, which is absolutely just insane. So just let you know that I do love the film and I do give it a 10, but it's not perfect. If I said it was perfect, well then, like I said, I probably would be canceled. So, but that's what I'm going to say from there. But yeah, Star Wars and Dune films are far superior than this one. At least I will give Zack Snyder for efforts for this one.
Yeah.
So that's what I'll pretty much leave it from there.
Matthew, how about you?
I already said I didn't have a definite number. It's bouncing between 3.5 and 4.
Okay. I think that. See, I'm between 3 and 3.5.
Yeah.
Right.
I'll settle with 3.5.
Yeah.
Because there were things in here that I did really like, and I appreciate it for what it is.
Yes.
Definitely the more flawed of the two.
Yes.
But honestly, I feel like a lot of the flaws that come from this is the fact that it's just a setup movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
Like it's a slow burn because of because it has to be.
Yeah.
I just it's okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm not the biggest fan of it. Honestly, I would be fine giving it a 3.
Okay.
Right.
But I don't know. I want to say that I would rather watch the diet version of this just because I don't want to sit through 3.5 hours of this movie
Yes.
for the few things about it that I really like.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, I would rather do the 2-hour runtime
Yeah.
and leave it that.
The 213. Yeah.
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 I'll start bringing up stuff from part 2 that I had on my list.
Yeah. Part 2, go.
Well, we know Zack is known for iconography in his films. One thing I won't get into, we'll just say the villains are like the Empire on Star Wars, but it's more on the nose.
Yeah. Agreed.
Don't want to get into that too much.
They're Nazis.
Yeah, they are.
I'll get into it. They're fucking Nazis.
Yeah. The Imperium.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they actually do look like Nazis even in this.
They do.
They do.
Full
yeah,
dress
they
uniform,
definitely do.
yeah.
Which we're not going to get full
Yeah.
on that part.
Another thing he has is the religious iconography. These are just some things I picked up. I might have seen this wrong. The Sith priests looks like their shoulder pads are heads with like crowns of thorns.
Okay, I didn't notice that.
Yeah.
Interesting.
And then another thing, which we will get into later, I'm just going to bring this up briefly, because we're actually going to do an episode on this. We're going to do a series on movie tropes.
That should be fun.
This is a sci-fi movie trope. I'll just go ahead and say now. We'll talk about it a lot more later.
Yeah.
The Messiah.
Yeah. Yeah.
Star Wars, you have the Chosen One. Matrix, you have the One. Dune, you have Messiah. Here, it's the Redeemer and Life Giver. Which isn't brought up much in this movie, but we will see more in the future films.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, that's a sci-fi trope that I'm sure we'll talk a lot about later when we do that episode. because that's a big sci-fi trope.
It is. Honestly, it's a big trope in general.
Yeah.
Well, I just feel like since science,
I'm Marvel Jesus.
well, I just feel like science kind of draws from like religion in terms of science fiction.
Yeah.
Right.
So like, I feel like that's a big pull. So
Yeah, no, I get you.
Yeah.
I think that was all I had off the top of my head. Overall, I like part 2 a lot better.
Yes, agreed.
We got I always forget how to pronounce his last name. Kerry.
Elwie?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He plays the king.
Oh, that was one thing that I wanted to mention about part 1.
Yeah.
I was super not surprised because I remembered seeing the fact that he was cast in this, but I was super happy about it. Honestly, I liked his role here.
Yeah, he had a good role.
Yeah,
I agree. Yeah.
Yeah, he played the king.
he got Caesared.
Yeah. Part 2 was definitely a lot better.
Yes, 100%.
There are some slow parts, but it's a big blowout like payoff at the end.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That's intense. That final battle.
Yeah,
And
I could watch that on repeat.
It's long-winded too because these are such long movies. The final battle alone probably is equivalent to 3 of the battles. Like that one battle is equivalent to probably all the battle scenes in the original trilogy of Star Wars. Like it probably goes the same length.
Roughly, yeah.
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 It's
I agree
one
with you.
long battle. It was kind of overwhelming in a way. That's what I was saying about earlier about like war movies, like not being able to stand all of it. Like it was just draining.
I feel like the Velt combined with the spaceship aspect of the final battle,
Yeah.
the Velt was what made it more draining.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Because it was a constant onslaught. It just felt unrelenting at times. At least Korra and Gunnar got like a couple moments, you know.
But it's just death after death after death.
Yeah.
Like I said, I could watch Predator with people's spines getting ripped out. It was too much.
Mm.
That's why I'm not a big fan of war movies.
Yeah, no, I get you.
But yeah, cinematography's still great. The score, it's not the best Snyder movie.
I wouldn't say so, no.
Hans Zimmer's score for Man of Steel is still the best.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah, I don't really have much to say. Like the backstories we finally got for all the other characters.
Thank goodness.
Yeah.
I care about the other characters a lot more.
Yeah, which, okay, I need to get to that because that's another thing that I got to say screw you to Netflix on this one because as much as which I'm glad we got the background story and the, I'm sorry, it makes me laugh every time you say Diet Cut, but I'll say it with you, the Diet Cut. At least we did get some backstory, which I was thinking, oh, this is great. We got backstory of these characters. This is great. Oh, wait, there's a longer backstory of these characters, and I'm thinking to myself, Netflix, seriously, are you freaking kidding me? You did not put that in the original cut. Like, how many strikes do I have to put down on a piece of paper? Like, forget rules of baseball. Forget strike 3. This is like strike 4, strike 5, strike 6, strike 7, and all that stuff. Like, forget baseball. Baseball is over the fence. Goodbye.
Yeah, at this point, you're making tally marks on the wall.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Put down your chalkboard. Put down your sentence of, I will not do this again. I will not do this again. But I hope to God Netflix did not do this again with the PG-13 cuts. But please, do not reach the PG-13 cuts of parts 3 and 4, 5, 6. Don't do that.
Don't make them in general.
No, don't. But yeah, the fact that we got more of the backstory and in the director's cut, which it made the characters more interesting.
Yeah.
Which, thank God for that, because honestly, again, this is one of those things that where I'm just, I wish I could put up like a middle finger to the camera, but I can't do that because I'm a Christian guy. I'm not going to do that.
Listen, if I were in the front of the camera, I'd do it for you.
I know, but yeah,
You say, hey, I just come from the side.
I was considering it.
yeah. I mean, as my as one of my. There you go.
Oh look, Dylan's on camera.
Okay, but there you go. But yeah, I mean, I just to give you a little bit of a side, just
because it's so bright.
just a little bit of the side story. I heard this like Sunday school teaching when they were talking about the whole flip at the bird thing. What he said, "I ain't no bird, and that makes me laugh to this day. But anyway, yeah. Thank you, Dylan. I needed that.
No, I get you. I'll do any swearing or rude gestures. Anybody
Right,
else is too
exactly. And
cowardly
you
to
know
do.
what? I kind of needed that, so you did it for me, which I guess I'm kind of grateful for that. So thanks.
Don't be afraid to ask in the future. I'll do it in a heartbeat.
Gotcha. But yeah, the fact.
The ghost can't come up from underneath.
Yeah.
Honestly, that's how you should do it from now on. Just.
Exactly. But we got more of the backstory with the table scene where people were gathering around the table, which I can make the argument that's also one of the better scenes in the movie as well. They gather around the table when they have a conversation.
It's one of my favorite ones. Yeah.
Yeah. It's great because you get more of the backstory and stuff. Once again, in the mixed aspect. Another love scene, which I think the first one, I think it lasted like 2 or 3 minutes or something. This one lasted probably like 5-6 minutes.
No, I think the first one went a lot longer.
It's a love
Because
story.
this one was better in my opinion. Because it actually served the plot, one.
True. Yeah.
And two, it one backed up Korra's, or it provided more backstory for Korra, which I really appreciated that.
Yeah.
We're just having a pointed conversation.
Shut up.
Shush.
Mister, we lost the tip.
Yeah, shush. I mean, I thought the love scene lasted longer, but I must have missed something. I don't know.
I think that here, though, the difference is the first one, it was just sex. Like, there was no plot involved other than them making a sex joke about the harvest.
Yeah.
This one actually served the plot along with the reason why that scene went on as long as it did was because most of it was them cuddling while
Right.
Korra was confiding in Gunner with this other shit that she hadn't told anyone else.
Right.
So I actually prefer this one out of the 3 love scenes that we got.
Gotcha. Okay.
Three?
And
Yeah, because there was one with Ed Screen's character in the first part where he was doing it with that weird ass monster.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, I didn't want to bring it up.
that.
I didn't want to bring it up. I was hoping that you would just be like, "Oh yeah, 3." and
I
just
did not.
move
I did
on.
not see that. And,
Because that was weird. You never really think about it, but there are people doing that in the Star Wars universe.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that there's at least a realistic expectation for star-crossed sex.
Right. At least we'll get another positive. They are good-looking people, so we'll say it that they're good-looking people. And actually, I kind of feel stupid that I actually did not mention this, but did you guys also notice this is sort of the same plot as A Bug's Life? Well, think about this. Think about
What?
Yeah. Think about this.
Okay, I can see it on the surface.
Yeah. Okay. Think about this. In the first part, and then the second part, he's really telling the people around him, we will be back in at least 9 weeks or something for you to prepare this harvest, so everything that everything will be look nice. If you don't, then we're going to kill you. It's a version of Star Wars. It's a version of Seven Samurai. As a little version of A Bug's Life, which I didn't even think about that because when I actually I was thinking, this is Zack Snyder's Bug's Life, which that is kind of odd. That's actually kind of odd.
An adult's bug life.
Yeah, an adult Bug's Life.
You know what? I would prefer that to be the descriptor over adult Star Wars.
Kind of.
I think it fits better. Better.
Your reaction, that was so funny when you didn't even think about that, which I didn't think about it until I was watching Cody Weese's reviews of the Rebel Moon, the diet cuts, and when he said this is like Bug's Life, I was thinking, is it seriously really? Like,
So it wasn't your original thought. You stole it from someone else. Got it.
I didn't even think about
Like
it.
everything.
Yeah.
Does John have original thoughts?
Well, it didn't come to me because I just thought to myself, wow, Zack Snyder's version of actually one of my favorite Pixar films, A Bug's Life. Wow,
No.
that's
Yeah, I can see it.
interesting.
You're just waiting for Zack Snyder's Toy Story now.
That's part 3.
Is that,
I highly doubt that's gonna happen.
is that where Woody
Never know.
says to Buzz, "Tell me, do you bleed?"
But yeah, but I just thought that'd be interesting that I bring that up because I just thought to myself, wow, I can't believe they actually did do that. But that was interesting.
Rex runs up to Woody, "Save Martha!"
Where'd you hear that name?
But I do agree on the third act finale when we got into the action scenes. That was awesome. I absolutely love that. And then when you get into the end, where this is like the full pew 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 pew, like this is a pretty much a Star Wars thing. Like this is like his Zack Snyder's version of Star Wars. I thought, okay, a little Star Wars reference on the flying. That actually was really cool. I'll give it credit for that. But also I will also say this, dude, the singing scenes. I have to admit, I actually thought they were pretty. I actually liked the singing scenes.
This was better than Snyder Cut with that.
Yeah. I felt like this was more...
This at least made the plot a little bit more.
Well,
the Snyder Cut was basically like an FU to WB, just like I can do what I want.
Well, like the Titus one, I felt like that was like a character thing.
Yeah.
And that's why I was fine with that one. And the one at the end...
The girl at the end.
Yeah, the one at the end was more of a plot thing than a character thing. And I appreciated both.
Yeah, both of those.
I still like... Is this going to become a staple in Zack Snyder's movies? Because I really hope it doesn't.
Just like a folk song?
Yeah, is the next one going to have 3? Like, I just... if in part 4 we get 3 songs, I'm going to be a little upset. And that's to put it lightly.
Yeah,
I do?
Yeah.
I do.
Next thing you know, it's an adult Star Wars musical.
But I feel like in the movies that Zack Snyder makes, it drags him down.
Yes.
Like, in musical, it makes sense, because it's a fucking musical. In this, it's kind of... It just drags things down. It's one of those things where I would have been fine if they would have left at least Titus's in the diet cut. But it probably wasn't even in the diet cut, was it?
No.
It was.
I don't think there was a singing scene at the end. At least that's not the way I saw it.
I could see it being cut because it was... If they cut out Jimmy parts, because I think that the Jimmy moment at the end of Titus's song in the actual cut, I thought that was the biggest purpose for it.
Yeah.
Because all of part 1 and part 2 in the original cuts, not the diet cuts, the original cuts. In part 1 and part 2, Jimmy's literally just an observer for almost all of it.
Until he goes absolutely ham.
Yeah, and I feel like a part of it is him discovering himself and his own humanity.
Yes.
And I think that Titus singing his song was resonating with Jimmy.
Yes.
And I appreciated that of Titus' song.
Absolutely.
But other than that, it's kind of just like, if it would have been the diet cut, I would prefer it to stay in the diet cut, but it wasn't even the fucking diet cut.
Right.
We didn't mention Jimmy, besides being played by Anthony Hopkins. He is essentially...
he's the last living knight.
Yeah,
of the court, basically.
Yeah, and also the narrator kind of the movie.
Yeah.
So, yeah.
The movie.
But yeah, I definitely enjoy part 2. I definitely loved it. The one again, I mean, I kind of get what they were doing with the whole cutting field slow-mo scene. I kind of get what he was doing, but at the same time, I don't get it at the same time.
They had to make harvesting look cool.
I know.
That's all it was.
It's Zack Snyder. You're not supposed to understand it. You just see it.
Hey, he's not Christopher Nolan.
No, he's not Christopher Nolan. Yeah, this is where the part where you think to yourself, well, I give up. Okay, whatever. You might as well do slow-mo of that. I mean, what's next? Are we going to see slow-mo of people having love scenes now? Are we going to see slow-mo shots of those two?
Never know. Honestly, at that point, I feel like he would graduate from softcore porno. Because that's what we got.
Zack Snyder is known for his random shots.
Yes.
Yeah.
That Christopher Nolan is intentional with everything.
Yes.
Zack just likes to throw random shots in there. Like the alien horse crapping. Did you catch that?
Yeah, I did.
But yeah,
literally
I
have random shit in there.
Yeah,
literally.
I still love the movie. Like I said, I'm not putting the standards of the movies that I just mentioned with the original Star Wars movies and the Disney Star Wars. Which, yes, The Last Jedi is a perfect Star Wars movie. Shut up, you crybabies.
It is.
Solo is not.
Shut up.
I have never said that it's a perfect Star Wars movie, so
Right.
you're not getting me with that one.
Gotcha. And then of course,
I'm at
Dune,
48
Dune,
now.
and then of course, Dune Parts 1 and 2. Like I said, I'm not putting the same standard as those movies like Star Wars and 20% to Dune. But what he was going for, like I said, get props to Zack Snyder. He fulfilled his dream. It's just that the studio did him dirty. So
He let the studio do him dirty.
they did.
Because
Yeah.
he has been working. Like, this was at least he finally got to make it. Like, that's a
Yeah,
big
yeah.
positive I could say.
Yeah.
Because he's been working on this since he was a little kid.
Mm.
Yeah.
Like, I believe he started, like, the initial, like, ideas when he was, like, 11.
Oh, that's interesting. Okay.
Yeah. This was, like, the very first project he ever, like, worked on. Like, just random ideas they popped up, like, oh, this would be cool. This would be cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He started this when he was, like, 10 or 11.
Well, I hope
Interesting.
because he probably has a Bible for this.
Yes.
I
Probably.
hope that they release a version of the Bible after all 6 parts are out.
Yeah.
Netflix probably won't fucking do it because they don't have the guts to do it.
Netflix
Because-
doesn't have the guts to release physical media.
Well, like Netflix has really only been capitalizing on Stranger Things
Yeah.
and putting Stranger Things everywhere, which makes sense. Stranger Things is like the one thing out of Netflix that has really fucking kicked off.
Fingers crossed, we get a complete box set when it's done.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I really fucking hope
A
so because
Blu-ray and a 4K.
we've only gotten the first 3 seasons of Stranger
Yeah.
Things.
2.
Yeah. And it's
No,
not and
third
it's not
release
and it's
too.
not just Stranger
Yeah.
it's not just Stranger Things, but even Cobra Kai has also been a
Yeah.
big hit for Netflix.
Cobra Kai's only got DVD releases though.
Oh,
They'll need a Blu-ray.
Yeah,
box
yeah.
set to
Yeah.
be on.
they need to not be doing their weird ass like, oh, you can do your in-universe shit at this one fucking place in the United States. Instead of doing that, how about you show some love to your actual content?
Absolutely.
Like,
yeah.
please, like I would pay over $200 to get a Bible for Rebel Moon.
Yeah.
Like, even with the comments that I have made about part 1, and like trust me, I have better comments about part 2.
Yeah.
But even with that, even though I'm not a big Zack Snyder fan,
You'd like to like read all about it.
yeah, like I would love to see the progression of ideas.
Yeah.
Like there's a archive book of
Yeah.
the original trilogy and an archive book of the prequel trilogy.
Yeah.
They're both amazing. They're super well thought out. They're super in depth. I would love something like that for Rebel Moon.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
think that it would do gangbusters when it comes to sales.
Yeah.
I mean, he does have franchise plans. He also want to do, I believe, a role-playing game as well for Rebel Moon, if I'm not mistaken.
That'd be cool.
There's an animated series. coming
Yeah,
out.
I'm
I'd be on board with that too. Yeah.
I believe the animated series is about the rise of the Imperium.
that would be really interesting.
Yeah.
Honestly.
It'll probably be much better review than the movies. At least I believe it
What
will.
do you got, Dylan?
Have you given your thoughts?
The few thoughts I had, yeah, like,
Yeah.
That was it?
yeah, like, I really enjoyed it.
How did I have more thoughts about it than you did?
I was just kind of numb since I watched it all in one sitting.
Fair.
Yeah.
Okay, I get you.
But yeah, that was pretty much my full thoughts. I enjoyed it,
Yeah.
but I'll have a couple more things about the whole package and Zack Snyder himself. But I'll leave that to you, to what you got to say about it, and then I'll give my couple last
yeah,
thoughts.
I got you. No, I agree. Part 2 is better than part 1. The last one of the last comments that I made about part 1 is that honestly, I think that I would have rather sat down for the diet version instead of sit through all of the 3.5 hours almost of part 1. This one, I think that I would only exclusively watch the original cut,
Yeah,
not the diet cut.
right.
It was really good in my opinion, and it got the reason why part 2 is so good is because of part 1. Because
Yes.
part 1 is a slow burn and all that. It was complete setup.
Yes.
Part 2 really fucking delivered. The harvesting thing, like I said, I was kind of laughing at it because like, how the hell are you supposed to make harvesting look cool?
Right.
How are you supposed to make that interesting for the camera? And
That-
I think that
That is Zack's superpower.
yeah,
It really is.
I think that they did it pretty well.
Yeah.
One thing that I can't help but just like make fun of about the harvesting scenes is Nemesis out in the fields where she's
Yeah.
just like practicing her sword work. She's not even fucking doing anything
Yeah.
because like what the fuck are you supposed to cut with those wooden dowels? with those dowel rods.
Right.
Yeah.
Like that. She was just out there doing her swordplay moves. That's all it was. I was like, what the fuck was she supposed to be doing?
I was wondering that too. I was like, are you going to cut anything? Or...
Well, like, out of everybody that should be doing amazing at cutting shit, it should be her.
And then there's that
Like, the dual wielder, the person who has 2 fucking lightsabers, should be cutting shit in a cool fashion. Like, why did you not do that?
Uh-huh.
And then there's the scene of the kid with the wheat trying to like.
Yeah. Well, like that, I like that. That was a sweet moment. That was establishing a character, like a connection between the 2 characters.
Yeah.
Like that did wonders for her character.
It did. She's honestly one of the best characters.
She is.
I can't wait to get more of her in the sequel.
We kind of talked about the backstories.
Yeah.
But the backstories made us care about the characters more.
Yeah.
The new rebel, Titus, it made us care more about Gunner. Well, not so much Gunner because we've been building with Gunner this entire time. But
Gunner's like the least favorite.
Yeah, he's kind of like the redhead stepchild of the 7. But Nemesis really is the shining star of the 7 when it comes to like people who got picked up.
Yes.
I feel like she was super well characterized here.
Yes.
And that goes for the rest of the 7 part. We said it before, part 2 did wonders for them.
Yes.
But Nemesis really was my favorite, and I feel like they continuously built her connection.
Oh crap! I just realized we won't get her in the sequel. She died.
Yeah. I was
mind.
super upset about that.
Yeah, I was too.
I was like, she can make it. She can get through that. Like I've.
Nope.
Yeah, it's not a lightsaber stab. It wasn't an instant cauterization, which is kind of a fucking
it
bummer.
really wasn't.
No, I just her doing her swordplay in the fucking fields. I was like, you could have made harvesting look so much cooler if you had her at the front instead of Jamon.
Yeah.
And I say that as somebody who loved Titus and who loves Jamon in general. I would have preferred her swinging around a fucking swinging around a scythe.
Yeah.
Like it would have been cooler.
We got character progression with him too.
We did.
He's been faking drinking alcohol when he's had water in the container the whole time.
At least on Velt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like since they got there, yeah.
Yeah. No, I get what you're saying.
Yeah.
No,
He acts like he doesn't care, but he really does.
Well,
And then it got a lot more obvious that he did care.
Yeah. And his entire thing was, he had a penultimate moment where he was like, we can't do anything. We can't save anybody else. And I think that is part of his like hopelessness.
Yes.
Because is it Tarek?
Yeah, Tarek.
All right. I keep wanting to say Takar. I don't know why.
No, it's Tarek or Tarek.
Yeah, I think it was like Tarek, yeah. Tarek was like, well, it's either we die here or we die helping them.
Right.
Like, you have to make your choice. I'm making mine. Now fucking cover me.
Yeah.
And it gave Titus the opportunity to kind of make up for what he had done before. It gave him the opportunity to save more lives than would have been originally lost.
Right.
And that was a great moment for him.
Yes.
Honestly, aside from Nemesis, I think that Titus was my favorite of the 7.
Of course.
Tarek was great. We didn't really talk about him with part 1.
No.
Honestly, I loved his character. I like the concept of that. It was one of the things I appreciated about the round table where they were all sharing their backstories.
Yeah.
It allowed us to see. It allowed us to see the different kinds of worlds that each had been from, along with just seeing how drastically different they are to now.
Right.
And Tarek had. I love the world that Tarek is from.
Yeah.
I think that's super cool. Like the fact that their warriors ride on griffins.
Yeah.
That alone is awesome. But it was like more Victorian.
Yeah.
And I really appreciate that aesthetic anytime that it's utilized.
I really like the cyberpunk world from the first movie. Where they first meet Blood.
Oh yeah, Leviticus.
Yeah.
Yeah. I really actually just like the worlds in general.
Yeah.
That was one thing that I didn't really talk about with part 1.
Like I said, cinematography.
Yeah, I feel like the worlds in part 1 blended together a lot.
Yeah.
With the exception of Leviticus.
Yeah.
I mean, even Velt, like we had our 2 different locations.
Yeah.
Pardon me. We had our 2 different locations with Velt. But still, like, Levica's place was the only place that looked different.
Well, Bespin too, the Bespin area. At the end,
Was that not?
that wasn't his world. No.
Okay, well, still,
Yeah.
like there was about like half an hour of these drastically different worlds.
Yes.
And then all these other ones that look the same.
Yes.
I like that even though part 2 is predominantly set on Velt, we still had that that variety.
Yes.
We got to see all these other different worlds. One thing that we haven't touched on that I really wanted to touch on was the power source for the ships. I don't know exactly what they are. I don't remember what they were called, but I just thought of them as goddesses.
Yeah.
Yeah.
As a Zelda fan, like that's about how like I view it.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I viewed them as goddesses. I thought that they were really neat.
At least for the bigger ships.
Yeah. I just that was one of the visuals from the trailer that I was most excited about.
Yeah.
What were these goddess engines?
Yeah.
And part 1, we kind of got Corey being like, yeah, when I was a little girl, I would go talk to them and they would talk back.
Yeah.
Which we got that in part 2 even more so. They actually showed it.
Yeah.
And it was super fucking cool.
It
Yeah,
was.
it was.
Honestly, I was a little confused at first. Because,
See, I didn't catch the part in part 1 where she mentioned that, so.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's kind of like a blink and you miss it kind of thing. Because she's just like, oh, yeah, like, early life, that's what I did. And then I was a fucking warrior.
Jeez, and whose fault was that?
Netflix. Sorry, my bad. Netflix.
Yeah.
Part 2, we have like a full conversation between the two. Well, I wouldn't say that it's a full conversation between the two of them.
Right.
But we had a giant moment of that.
Yeah.
And she was like, I forgive you. I understand that you're sad that you're trying to kill me, and I forgive you. You had to do this. And the reason why I'm so okay with it is because I know that after this, you were going to go free my sisters.
Yeah.
I love that. I was a little confused at the start of it. Because, like, she opened her eyes, and I thought that she was just going to fucking stand up. Like, I didn't think that we were going to have this weird vision. So, when she started actually fucking standing up, and she lost all the bombs, I was like, well, there goes that fucking plan. I was like, she kind of just fucking ruined it. And then it turned out to be a fucking vision. I was like, oh, okay. I was like, that's, all right, I like that. All right.
The title for part 2, Curse of Forgiveness. With that and with the flashback to the Life Giver's death,
Yeah.
forgiveness is a huge part of this movie.
Yes, it is, yeah.
Because as she's dying, she says, I forgive you.
Yeah.
I feel like it's going to play a big role in the sequels.
Well, especially with the Light Giver.
Yeah.
We'll get to that.
Yeah.
There was one thing that I kind of laughed about during the final battle.
Yeah.
And it's right before the ship blows up. It's when all those guards are in the engine room.
Yeah.
And they're all like looking around like, oh man, what's going on here? Oh, she's nowhere to be found. All this other shit. It's like, when you enter this room, you were looking right at the engine. And none of you saw the 6 bombs on the forehead? Because they're like, oh man, what's that beeping? Like, what is this? And then it like dawns on their face right before the explosion. It's like, how did you not see it?
They really jawned
You looked right at it. Like,
They really jawned that up.
I heard you the first time. I was like,
I had nothing to do with this.
no, I just, I was like, you were fucking looking right at this, and you didn't fucking do shit. Like, did y'all Like,
shut up.
it might be explained by like, oh, these people aren't in the engine very often, but it's like you're not seeing it on the rest of the fucking engine. Like, it'd be different if like she had placed the bombs all around, you know?
Yeah.
Like kind of like chicken pox or something.
Yeah.
Like, so it was like reminiscent of that. That would have been one thing. But like, they heard this beeping. And apparently this was the first fucking time that they saw the bombs. And they'd probably been down there for what, like 10 minutes?
Shut up, Matthew. I have nothing to do with this.
It had probably been like 10 minutes that they've been in this fucking room looking for her. Searched everywhere. And it was like the first time that they saw the bombs.
Yep.
Like, what the fuck? How stupid are you? Like, I get it. Like, if they would have seen it at first and been like, oh, these are bombs, they could have diffused them or some shit.
Man, I did not even
I
catch
get it.
that. Wow.
Yeah, no, like, there's no, like, realization. You see them walking down the walkway
Exactly.
to the fucking engine.
Yeah.
Dead on! They see these fucking green glowing bombs on the forehead and they do nothing about it.
Case in point.
I just, it's, you're right. But I just, it pissed me off kind of, because I was like, we have all these other smart villains in this. Like, every other person in the Imperium is smart. They're all capable, they're all competent. Why is it these people who are trusted to remain on the flagship, basically, are this fucking stupid?
Well, yeah.
That was one of my only gripes about part 2. But no, other than that, I loved it. I thought that the fight was really good. I think that Gunner, the death that we got for the Admiral, for Ed Skrein's character,
Yeah.
Gunner doing him in, the way that it was done was how Charlie's death should have been done in part 1. Like, this is the best comparison that I can make to it.
Yes.
This is how it should have been done, because it felt more climactic. It felt more deserved, more earned.
Yes.
It didn't feel that way in part 1.
No.
So I'm glad that we got that redemption here before, spoiler alert, Gunner dies.
Yeah.
Also, I appreciate uneven terrain fights like that in general.
Yes.
It's one of the reasons why Revenge of the Sith's Duel of the Heroes is my favorite lightsaber battle in all of Star Wars.
Yes.
Just because it's so uneven all the time.
Yes.
They're constantly swinging around. They're running up slopes. They're doing. I almost said a different word, and that would have been bad. Well, not really bad for anybody who doesn't know, but still. A better word would be they're trading blows constantly.
Yeah.
And they're fighting backwards, basically.
Yeah.
And part 2 did this too during the final fight between Admiral, Gunner, and Korra.
Yeah.
And I love that kind of shit. That's one of my favorite and that's one of my favorite ways that you can choreograph / shoot any fight scene.
Yeah.
Is when it's on uneven terrain like that.
Yes.
I just feel like it makes it a lot more dynamic. And I really appreciate that they did that here.
Yeah.
Right.
I just it.
Please tell me you got that.
Anyway.
Yes.
Anyway. I think that it was just done super well. We talked about the lightsaber fights earlier. I'm glad that we got one between the Admiral and Korra.
Yes.
Also, I like the fact that they had that little moment where when Korra first picks up the lightsaber, it's like burning her hands.
Yeah.
That was a nice little touch. I was a big fan of that, and the fact that she fully wrapped it and everything. That was cool. Honestly, I just really, really enjoyed part 2. I thought it was super good.
I hope we get more lightsaber fights in the sequels.
We fucking better.
Yeah.
Holy shit. Like for it being like a Star Wars knockoff, and it's a Star Wars knockoff.
It is.
Yes.
For it being a Star Wars knockoff, there's not enough lightsabers.
Nope.
Like the Star Wars movies, as of late, after the first 3, there's an excuse why there aren't nearly as many lightsaber duels.
Yeah.
And it's the fact that there's not enough lightsaber wielders out there.
Yep.
Right.
But
Same was the case in the original trilogy.
Yeah, well, again, like after the Fall of the Jedi,
Right.
it made sense.
Yeah.
Here, there should be no fucking limits.
Right.
Like, yeah, the in part 1 there was that comment of like, oh, how'd you get your hands on these and all this other shit.
So there must be like rare weapons.
I think at least the ones that Nemesis had were rare.
Yeah.
It might be like the Imperium has like the stock on it.
Yeah.
Like they fully control the distribution of that kind of shit.
Yeah.
So that might be what it is.
Right.
But I don't know. We're definitely seeing a lot more of the Imperium, and I don't think that people are going to go without taking Nemesis's weapons.
Right.
Yeah.
Granted, the question becomes who the fuck is going to wield them
Right.
if they do take them. But
Maybe a new character.
Maybe. Honestly, if we got Jimmy dual wielding,
Oh shoot.
that would be insane.
Yes.
Honestly, that's almost too powerful.
Yeah.
I'd be on board with that. Yeah.
I would love it. I think that would kick ass.
Like 1% of my power.
Yeah.
I will say one criticism I have for parts 1 and 2 is the special effects are great
Yeah.
when it comes to the atmosphere and to the surroundings and all that.
Right.
And even the partial CGI characters that we got, because we
Right.
did get some that were at least the CGI was an accent to the character, if not in total. While we got those, and those look great too, a lot of like the blood splatters didn't look good.
No.
Like it just felt like
I don't think
completely
it was
separate.
natural.
Yeah, that's probably in the mixed aspect for me. Is the blood effects? It didn't look too bad, but
No, it was okay for what it was.
Right, exactly.
Like I've seen
Not
worse.
practical.
No, it wasn't.
It was clearly CGI blood.
I think they added more for the director's cuts, which makes sense.
yeah,
But
Well, there was no blood in the regular cut.
then
You can't show blood.
I personally don't think it would make a difference if
Well,
there
some blood
was
is a
blood
thing for
or no
PG-13.
blood. I don't
Not
think-
like
Some.
spray.
yeah,
no, not the way that they did. That's why I think that they thought that they added some in the original cut,
right.
or had more in the original cut.
Yeah, it was all CGI, I think.
Okay. It will make sense. Like that's fine. It's
I mean,
just
with the amount of blood they used, that would be a lot of money for all that.
Yes.
Although it's Netflix, so it doesn't really matter.
well, like exactly. Like they're throwing all this money at Zack Snyder, and they couldn't have at least cooked it a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like I feel like a lot of the budget between the diet cuts and the original, which I don't understand why the original wouldn't be finished first,
Right.
but editing is different, is a whole different ball game.
Right. That's not your expertise.
Yeah, exactly. Like I'm not really going to speak on that because I don't want to make an ass of myself. But I
Garrett has entered
feel
the chat.
it's part of the reason why I don't want to make the comments.
Leave that to Garrett.
Yeah. I just feel like, oh no, they spent all this time and all this money on all these other special effects. They
Right.
couldn't have refined the blood effects a little bit more,
Right.
because maybe it was just my TV. I don't know, but they just felt so disconnected from the rest of the movie. Like even like in background shots, it
At
didn't seem right. It looked like there was way too much blood for what was going on.
Yes.
It felt like again, like it felt like it was like on a different layer of the movie. Like
Yes.
there was a front panel and that's where the blood was. It wasn't integrated with the rest.
Right.
I
I will say the blood shots that looked real were the beating scenes.
yes, agreed.
That first kill, in, going back to the first part,
Yeah.
where he has to kill his father.
Mm.
That, honestly, that could compare to Saw for me, how brutal it was. Some of the Saw movies.
Yeah, I could see
It
that.
was
Yeah.
graphic.
Yeah.
Well, I feel like the one thing that I want to talk about is the Admiral's resurrection.
Yeah.
Dude got fucked up.
Yes.
Holy crap! And then when they pulled him into the chamber, the rejuvenation chamber,
Yeah.
fucking whatever it was, they might have labeled it. I don't remember it.
I don't think so.
Again, I wish there was a Bible. I would like to know more about it.
Yeah.
Um,
Well, I learned about the scribes online. I was like, oh, what are the priests called in Rebel Moon?
well, them collecting those teeth was cool. I thought that was a neat touch. But no, I thought that the shit with the Admiral was a little gory.
Yeah.
Right.
Like they pulled open the back of his skull and like peeled off his skin. Basically, that was holy crap.
Yeah.
Do like all these Imperium guys have this shit going on? Or,
Right.
Like what the fuck was that?
Exactly.
No, that really was like one of my major critiques across both parts was the CGI. It's just like it looks really good
It
in
does.
most places.
Absolutely.
It's just I feel like the only places where it didn't look too right, which a lot of it looked the way that the most projects that have come out of using the volume at Disney have looked.
Yeah.
Where there's like a disconnect between the people there and their surroundings.
Yeah.
But that can go for most sound or CGI soundstage production.
Yes.
But the two places would have been the goddess statue, and it would have been all the blood. Like the blood just felt super disjointed. It didn't look right.
Gotcha.
The goddess thing, I feel like they could have gone more practical with the goddess, the goddess engine, because the goddess engine was the other weak link in the CGI for me personally.
Okay.
Like the true, like obvious weak link.
Right.
Yeah.
The tears looked great,
It did.
but the rest of it didn't look nearly as good.
Okay.
No.
Like I feel like they could have built a CGI face,
Okay.
and maybe they did, and it just doesn't look good on camera. I don't know.
Yep.
But it looks CGI, and I can't assume that it was practical because of that.
Yeah.
I love to be proven wrong. If I'm wrong, I'll own up to it. But it's just, I don't know. They could have baked it a little bit more.
Yes.
I feel like if they would have baked it a little bit more, it would have looked better.
Yeah.
But I digress. I like part 2. I thought it was good. I drastically prefer it to the first one.
So there are a couple of things I do want to get into, and then we'll get to the rating of what we actually thought of part 2. So as a package, what do we think of it now that we finally got the full version of Rebel Moons, and how did it true, like, exactly the way it's supposed to be? Like, how does Snyder's vision look to me when I watched it? I can definitely say I love the fact that he liked to do his version of Star Wars, and I truly admire him for that, and that's absolutely just great. However, the one thing you can definitely say when it comes to how Netflix did this, Zack Snyder, is just completely inexcusable. The way that Netflix did this to Zack Snyder is just unforgivable on their part. If you're gonna let Zack Snyder do his thing, I want Netflix to stop doing this whole PG-13 cuts. Which I'm not saying that PG-13 movies are like a bad thing. Heck,
Right. I get you. Yeah.
heck, there are plenty of my favorite movies of all time that are PG-13. Like look at the Mission Impossible movies, for example.
Yeah, there's nothing wrong with PG-13.
Right, but PG-13 had to be a statement. These are not statements. I mean, Zack Snyder always said, "This is my true version." Like, if you want to release the true version, don't do any more PG-13 cuts. So that's the first thing. And one last thing, and this is going to be my controversy that I'm going to say, and then we'll get to the rating. The one thing that I will definitely say that people are not going to be happy what I'm going to say, but you know what? Screw it. I personally think after the Rebel Moon movies, after he gets done with the Rebel Moon generation, I personally think he needs to retire after being done with Rebel Moon. Like, he needs to retire and stop directing. Because
John just opened a whole bloodbath.
well, I'm sorry, Snyder fans, because
Well, elaborate on it, but before you start making any apologies, elaborate on it.
yeah, because here's the biggest problem. It's not Snyder. That's not the reason why I think he needs to retire. It's just that the way they're doing to Snyder, because he's always going to be known for director's cuts, and if they keep doing him that over and over again, I personally think that if you don't want Snyder to direct your movie and you don't want Snyder to do your thing, I personally think that Snyder should say, okay, if you actually do not like what I'm actually doing, then I'm tired of it. I'm getting sick of it. I'm going to be gone. And I personally think that Zack Snyder, at least for me, I personally think he needs to stop directing after the Rebel Moon universe is over. Now, I know that people are begging him to release the Snyderverse with the whole thing, though. Oh, we want to see Ben Affleck's Batman and all that stuff. I understand that people would like to see that and all that stuff. But I personally think, for me, if Zack Snyder keeps directing, he's only going to be known for director's cuts. And
That's a good point.
that's going to be a negativity for his career. He's never going to be in the ranks of greatest directors like a Steven Spielberg, nor a Christopher Nolan, or Denis Villeneuve, or even I'll even put J.J. Abrams in that category. But for Zack Snyder, I'm sorry. It's just that he's only going to be known for director's cuts, and I personally think that needs to stop. So,
for what he does good with directing, the whole director's cut thing invalidates him as a director in a way.
exactly.
I would agree with that. Yeah.
Yeah, and that's just personally how I feel. Now, I know a lot of you guys are going to be mad. Which please be respectful in the comment section if you don't like what I said about the whole Zack Snyder needs to retire thing. But it's just please do not be mean.
Don't
to me.
worry, John. They're going to be roasting me.
Yeah,
I think out of the three of us, they're going to be roasting me.
Yeah, but that's the only reason why that I personally think Snyder just needs to stop directing, because he's only going to be known for director's cuts, which for the Steven Spielbergs and the Christopher Nolans, they're only going to be known for directing amazing films. Zack Snyder, on the other hand, he's only going to be known for, this is not the original cut, here are the director's cuts.
You're not wrong. No,
And
you're right.
again, it's ridiculous.
John has a well thought out thought.
Thank you.
It's not rare for him.
No,
but
it's not.
definitely
No,
rare on the podcast.
Yeah. Which I just don't understand. Like, people are going to keep asking us, why do people hate Zack Snyder? Honestly, I have no freaking clue. I do not have a single answer at all. They hate him because they hate him. So, I mean, WB did him bad to him. And now Netflix is doing bad to him. It's just bonkers. Honestly, I never thought in years I'd be watching films and watching streaming services. I never thought I would predict in 2024 I'd be ranting about Netflix. I never thought I'd be doing that, because I thought Netflix was doing fine ever since the whole streaming thing started. But because they brought Zack Snyder, which I personally think Netflix, that was a mistake, because you should have known that Zack Snyder was going to make his version and you still want to do PG-13 crap. It's just bonkers. It's
Army of the Dead was great. That was his first movie for Netflix.
Yeah.
Sure. Well, okay.
I still haven't seen the other Army.
Yeah,
of the Dead.
I still haven't watched it
The
either.
Army of Thieves or whatever.
Yeah, that and they put out like an animated feature, right?
That's not out yet.
Oh, is it not?
No.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
Makes sense.
Yeah. I'll give you that. Sure. Which I still have not seen Army of the Dead, but I think I know you said I would like it. So
You would like it, yeah.
okay.
Yeah, it is good.
Yeah.
I enjoy it.
I mean, if they said, okay, if Netflix invited him just to do like the Dead films, I totally be fine with that. But for Rebel Moon, like he said, this is my adult version of Star Wars. We don't need PG-13 crap. We just don't need that. And that's only thing he's going to be known is, like I said, is for his quote unquote not the true cut. And he's been doing this for like 7 times now in 20 years. Like, it's atrocious. I believe Spielberg only did one director's cut, and that was Close Encounters of the Third Kind.
And there's like 4 cuts of that.
Yeah. And there's nothing wrong with that, because the movie theatrical version was absolutely great. You want more extra goodies? Fine. Totally fine with that. But Zack Snyder's, fool me once, fool me twice, fool me 7 times? Like, no.
Fooling
So,
him.
so that's how I feel about Zack Snyder. I mean, I respect the guy. I mean, he has directed one of my favorite movies of all time. But
What's your rating?
even with all the crappiness I said about what Netflix is doing, like I said, in full entertainment value, like I said, it's not perfect, but I'll still give it a 10 for what it was. I still find it to be entertaining, just like I did with part 1. But I think I like part 2 just a little bit more. I would say I would need to rewatch them to make sure that's how I feel. But there you go. That's my entertainment values for both of these movies, even though that Netflix is still being a bunch of buttholes. So there you go.
4 out of 5 or 4.5. I mean, out of 5.
Okay.
Yeah.
But before I give my rating, I actually kind of want to expand a little bit on what John was saying about Zack Snyder.
Please do.
I'll say I agree, but to a certain extent, I think that after Zack is done with his 6 Rebel Moon movies, because I think that Rebel Moon will be a major franchise.
Yes.
Yes.
We already said I don't think this is going to be Star Wars.
No.
But I think that this is going to be a home run for them if Netflix fucking plays it smart.
Absolutely.
Yes.
There's other things in the pipeline for Rebel Moon,
Yes.
and I think that what Zack Snyder should do is, I think that he should stop directing films, but I think that he should move to a more hands-on creative role, like a different one than being a fucking director and writer.
Yeah.
Like, one thought that I had when I was watching part 2, especially towards the end, I was like, one thought that came into my head was, this would make a really killer sci-fi RPG.
Yes.
Like video game, not pen and paper. Although pen and paper, that it would also be really cool. I think that it would be a really cool sci-fi RPG video game, and if he were to move on to stuff like that, not even just the film aspect of Rebel Moon, but just the TV aspect of it, the interactive media aspect of it, I think that if he were to take that on, for that to end up being his baby, his golden goose, he would do amazing. Again, Netflix has to not fuck it up, and they have that major tendency to do so.
I believe he does have a video game planned.
I hope he does. Honestly, they can make multiple video games off of this.
Mm-hmm.
But everything has to be played right. I feel like if everything were to be played right for Rebel Moon, it would have to be Zack Snyder at the helm for all of it.
Yes.
And that makes him a very busy man. But honestly, I feel like with this being his baby or his production baby, I'll say.
Yeah.
Since he was 11 years old.
Yeah.
I feel like there would be nothing better for him, at least mentally,
Yes.
than to pour his creative resources into this.
Right.
And he could also do that. He could share over to Army of the Dead too.
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like that this would be it. Like James Cameron is going to spend the rest of his life on Avatar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Zack Snyder should do that with Rebel Moon.
Creative decisions aside, this is his project. He can do what he wants.
Yes.
Because we won't get into other projects for creative decisions, but yeah.
Yeah. I agree with John. I think that Zack Snyder should basically retire from directing movies after this. But he should go fully hands-on with the creative development of the rest of this Rebel Moon universe.
Absolutely.
Because if done right, this could go a long way.
It will never be as good as Star Wars, but it could be as big as Star Wars.
Yes, it could be, yeah.
Yeah.
It could be a heavy competition piece. At least, I feel like it could end up being heralded in the same sentence as Dune is.
Yes.
At least that's as far as I could go with that.
Yeah.
Nothing's going to touch Star Wars.
Yeah.
Like, it's just, it would be a Herculean task to fucking touch it.
Yeah. But
Shut the fuck up.
yeah. But yeah,
No,
but
I think I do like Dune better than Star Wars. The more
That's
everyone does.
fine.
Yeah.
But nothing's going to touch Star Wars.
Right.
At least when it comes to relevancy in media.
Right. Exactly.
yeah.
Like that's where Star Wars really shines above all others.
Right.
Yeah.
I could think Dune's a better movie, but Star Wars is more.
Yeah,
relevant.
no, like that's totally fine. I would agree with that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So out of 5, what would you give it?
Out of 5, I give it 4.5.
Cool. Awesome.
A full star's up from part 1 for me.
Yep.
At least a full star, if not a star and a half.
There you go.
It was really good. I loved it. Honestly, I would fully rewatch this again. This is the one that should have been 3.5 hours.
Yeah.
It should have been this one.
Yeah.
So that was a bit of a bummer, but yeah, those are my thoughts.
One last thought before we get to our outro. If you could pick one other director to start their own Star Wars franchise, who would you do? If they were to like start a whole franchise with their own like, it doesn't even have to be Star Wars based. It could just be like a sci-fi epic franchise.
God. Well, I mean, Ryan Johnson's Star Wars trilogy is apparently still in the works, so I don't really want to say
Star Wars.
I know, but I don't really want to see Rian Johnson because
Right.
of that. Like if I had to pick somebody that would be creating something completely new, like this is what they're fucking doing,
Yeah.
like they haven't touched Star Wars or anything like that. God, but even with that, there's still somebody that I would rather.
I'll say this real quickly before I actually leave. I would probably say I would like to see Christopher Nolan do it. That actually would be great.
He was the one that was really coming to mind for
Yeah.
it.
Yeah. I'll see you guys.
Yeah, see you, John.
John.
Thanks for leaving me hanging.
Oh shit! Sorry about that.
Still didn't come back and give me one, but okay. No, actually, Gareth Edwards.
Those were my two choices. Yeah.
Yeah,
I would do there, Garrett Edwards.
yeah, I feel like he would do the best. See you, John. Even though I disqualified Rian Johnson
Right.
because of his connection to Star Wars, Gareth Edwards, I feel like
It was just a one-off.
yeah, it was a one-off. Ryan might come back. We
Right.
really don't fucking know with this trilogy at this point. We've heard of other things that were in the pipeline getting canceled, but not his. So it gives me hope.
Yeah.
But honestly, I feel like Gareth Edwards just has a really good sense of what works in a sci-fi movie and what works in sci-fi genre in general.
Yes.
And I feel like he has a really solid eye when it comes to making films.
Well,
So I
every
think that
single
he could
movie
mesh
he's
it
done has
together
been a
really
sci-fi
well.
movie.
Has it? I
Uh,
thought that he's had a couple others in his repertoire.
Monsters,
Well, yeah.
which is a sci-fi horror movie,
Okay.
real
okay.
low budget. I think the budget was like $5,000,
Damn. Okay.
or maybe it was 50. I don't know. I'll look it up after. It was really low. Godzilla 2014,
Right.
Rogue One, and The Creator.
Huh. I thought he had other stuff.
No, he's just on those four.
Huh.
So yeah, I would say Christopher Nolan, Gareth Edwards, or he hasn't necessarily done sci-fi, but his work on a fantasy superhero movie with the world building makes me think he could do excellent sci-fi. James Wan.
I could see it. I could see
because
that.
of Aquaman.
Yeah.
the
No.
world building.
Yeah. That's the main reason why I could see it. Yeah. I agree with that. Yeah. No. I agree with that. I could
Yeah.
see that.
I think all
Um,
three of those would be great.
I feel like it takes a really great mind to be able to pull off a sci-fi franchise,
Yes.
and
I'm gonna try.
it.
Book format people don't get too excited.
it
I don't
Yeah.
have the budget to make a sci-fi movie.
we ain't coming out here with films anytime soon. Yeah, I really can't think of anyone else I think would pull it off enough.
I've got a couple 100 million reasons why I'm not going to be making a sci-fi movie.
Yeah, I think that at least of the big dogs that we currently have,
Yeah.
I definitely think that those are the main ones. James Gunn obviously can pull off sci-fi, but
Yes.
dude's fucking busy.
Yes.
Like, even if there were a chance that he would go off and make his own sci-fi franchise, it's going to be a long time before that could happen.
I honestly feel like of the three, James Wan is most likely. Because the Conjuring universe is ending, so he would need a new big project to work on.
I mean, he wouldn't need one, but it would definitely help him.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like, it could give him something to do.
Yeah, because Christopher Nolan would never do it.
He
Gareth
might-
Edwards could do it if he got the right studio behind it.
Right. Christopher Nolan would be. He's known for his one-off sci-fi movies.
Yeah, he really doesn't make any sequels or anything.
Right.
Like
The only
Dark
ones-
Knight trilogy
yeah, that's it.
being the obvious exception.
Man, I cannot wait for Christopher Nolan's next sci-fi movie, though, whenever that is.
Aren't we supposed to get a Tenet too?
I don't think so.
I thought that was rumored at least.
No. There is a rumor, though, I'll tell you about it later, that all three of them are connected.
I'm fucking sorry.
Tenet, Interstellar, Inception.
I can see it. I can see it.
It's really cool. I'd have to find it, but it's really cool.
No. I think that's it for our Rebel Moon review.
Yeah.
For a Rebel Moon original cut review, not the fucking diet version.
Thank you for watching this. Thank you for putting up with our crap.
Yeah, thank you.
Remember to like, comment, subscribe.
Make sure to leave make sure to leave feedback. Make sure to rate us on audio services if you're listening to the audio version of this. Make sure to share around with your friends. It really helps us grow the podcast even more than we already have. Make sure to follow us. Make sure to check out our social media. We have Twitter, Instagram, Threads, Facebook. We're hoping to expand a little bit more, but we're working on that.
If you want to see banter, that's on Twitter.
Yeah, we've got a real two-faced thing going on over on Twitter.
We know
I'm proud
this
of it.
episode's going to be controversial, so spread love, not hate.
Yeah, our
There's
opinions
no
are our opinions. We've done everything we can to be respectful towards everybody involved in Rebel Moon and in the community.
Yeah.
I've thrown out some accusations during this, but I'll stand by them because my Twitter thing. They're my personal views. They're not views of the podcast. Let me just make that out.
Yeah. There's no need to spread hate, whether you like Zack Snyder or not.
Yeah.
There's no need for hate.
Yeah, I may not be the biggest fan of the man, but I'm definitely not going to be one of those people that are going hardboard hater on him. There's no reason for it. I'd rather watch and talk about stuff that I love than stuff that I don't love.
Like I said, spread love, not hate.
Yeah.
So, hopefully this episode is a positive experience for you.
Hopefully.
And we will see you guys next week with more content.
Yeah, see you guys next week.
See ya.
We have been the Cinema Asylum Podcast. You guys were awesome. Thanks for coming out. Good night.